Well, Treasurer Jim Chalmers has insisted politicians will not be exempt from the government's controversial new super tax. Live to Political Editor Andrew Clennell. So, Andrew, this is some unfinished business for Labor. It could be quite an interesting talking point. I suspect there'll be a campaign, an increased one from the Liberal Party. What have we heard from the Treasurer today?
Well, he was pretty clear. He was very clear that politicians and judges will be captured by this new super tax proposed a couple of years ago. They said they'd introduce it in 2025. They haven't got legislation through yet, but Greens Senator David Shoebridge gave the clearest signal yet on Sunday agenda. The Greens may well pass this, and they only need the support of the Greens in the Senate now. But in the last couple of days in the newspapers, there's been speculation that perhaps politicians and judges who are on a defined benefit scheme might be exempt, Tom. And this would particularly pertain to Anthony Albanese, who is a pre-2004 MP in the Parliament and will be on more than $400,000 a year for life once he leaves the Parliament. It's been speculated Peter Dutton, incidentally, who's been in the Parliament since before 2004 as well, will be receiving at the moment about $250,000 a year. Jim Chalmers making it very clear here, there's no exemptions for pollies.
So will the likes of Peter Dutton and Anthony Albanese, who both entered Parliament before 2004, be subject to these super tax increases?
Yes, and we've made that clear. Yeah, you read from time to time on social media that somehow politicians on the old scheme before 2004 have somehow been exempted. That's not the case. And so I'm pleased you've given me the opportunity to raise that and to clear that up. I think people deliberately have told a different story from time to time, but politicians on defined benefit will be impacted if they've got very substantial balances by the changes we're proposing.
There's confusion on how this will apply to defined benefits, particularly when they're doled out on an annual basis, but the Treasurer insisting the politicians, the older politicians, will be copping the tax as well. Funnily enough, their pensions are indexed to backbenchers' salaries, but the controversy over this super tax is there's been no indexation of it. So we know someone with a balance of over $3 million now who'll have an extra 15% tax put on them. A lot of people would probably support that. But in 10, 20 years, that $3 million, that's going to capture a lot more people. And the Parliamentary Budget Office, in fact, found that it would end up getting the government as much as $7 billion a year in 10 or 20 years. The Prime Minister, prior to the election, also insisted politicians were captured by this on Sky News.
Can you clearly explain how your tax changes would affect the defined benefit scheme, including your own generous pension as a long-serving MP and now PM?
It would have an impact on it. It would mean that for a very small percentage of the population, a very small percentage indeed, that they would make additional contributions to revenue. That is how it would impact the system. Overwhelmingly, people would not be impacted, and it is a fairness measure to take into account that the superannuation system is very important, but it's very generous at the high end, and that is why we're proposing this change.
How will you personally be taxed under your proposed changes, PM, when you retire?
I would have to, out of the contribution, that is the payments that I receive, there would be greater taxation.
Now, the Greens have previously said they want the tax to go further. They want it for people who have superannuation balances over $2 million, not just $3 million. Treasurer Jim Chalmers was asked about that by our reporter this afternoon, and he said that wasn't under consideration. But David Shoebridge, as I said on Sunday Agenda, indicating, and they will have the sole balance of power with Labor, that they probably would pass the government's legislation through the Senate. Is that something you're open to supporting?
Well, we've never thought it's a great idea for people with multi-million dollar superannuation balances to get a massive tax concession. Well, you know, somebody working at McDonald's is paying.
So you'd like the
high
tax to be
rates.
higher, or are you saying the government's proposal might be something you're open to passing through?
Well, we're always open to proposals that make our tax system fairer. I mean, that'll ultimately be a discussion of our party room.
All right, well, see what the Greens might push for and whether they try to extract more and what Labor might do. An interesting first test of those Senate numbers, Andrew. Thank you.